Fossil record remains are traces of an organism that lived long ago. Remains means bone, tooth, or shell. Traces are the raw footprints or imprints. So fossil or remains are traces of an organism. Fossils are oldest fossils fossils are oldest fossils are oldest fossils are on the lowest layer. Then fossil specimens found in older rocks are different from those found in newer rocks. Okay, then fossil specimens in older rocks are different from those found in the newer rocks. Okay, um, finding fossils is not an easy task. Age of fossil can be determined using different techniques. Relative absolute age of fossil can be found determined using different techniques. What are the techniques? These are relative and absolute. Relative are comparing fossil positions in the rock strata and use of radiometric dating. Okay, when fossils are organized from oldest to youngest, orderly pattern of evolution can be seen. When fossils are organized from oldest to youngest, orderly pattern of evolution can be seen. Paleontology, the study on fossils. Paleontologists are scientists who study fossils. Okay. Then second come is biochemical or molecular biology. Scientists examine the nucleotide of DNA and amino acid sequences sequence of proteins from different species. Closely related species share higher percentage of sequences than species that are distantly related. Okay, closely related species share higher percentage of sequences. They share higher percentage of sequences than species that are distantly related. The triplets of DNA nitrogen base sequence that code for a specific amino acid or genetic code is the same in almost all organisms. The triplets of nitrogen base sequences that code for specific amino acid genetic code is the same almost all organisms. The similarity in genetic code indicates probable common ancestor. The similarity in genetic code indicate what they indicate. They indicate a probable common ancestor. They indicate a probable common ancestor for all life on Earth. Biochemical So what are homologous structure? Homologous structures are anatomical resemblance between organisms that represent variation in the structure that was present in common ancestor. Okay, homologous structure, anatomical resemblance. These are anatomical resemblance between organisms that represent variation in structure. That represents variation in structure that was common, that was present in a common ancestor. That was present in a common ancestor. Same structure but different function. For example, the forelimbs of all vertebrates are made of same basic group of bones. The forelimbs of all vertebrates are uh, made from same basic groups of bones hooked up in the same way. They hooked up in the same way. Okay, then analogous. What are analogous structure? Same functions but different structures. And these are superficial similarities that reflect adaptation. What they reflect? They reflect adaptation. They reflect an adaptation reflective of similar environment. They reflect an adaptation reflective of similar environment, not a descent from a common ancestor. These are not from common ancestor, but they share superficial similarities. Similar features of organisms that evolve, similar features that evolve independently, same function but different structures. For example, wings of a fly and wings of a bird. Okay, vestigial structure are remnant structures that reduce in size, and function but served important functions in the organism ancestors. Okay, for example, internal hind leg bones in the whales. Comparative embryology means closely related organisms go through similar stages in their embryonic development. Okay, closely related organisms go through similar stages in their embryonic development. Early on in development, vertebrate embryos are strikingly similar. Okay, they are strikingly similar. Each has a tail. Um, pharyngeal pouches that develops into gills in amphibians, that turns into gills in amphibians and fish, birds that that become limbs. Okay, so comparative embryology means closely related organisms go through similar stages in their embryonic development. Early on development, vertebrate embryos are strikingly similar. Okay, each has a tail and pharyngeal pouches that later turned into gills in amphibians and birds. Alright, and by geography, the use of geography to describe the distribution of species. Okay, these are divergent evolution, convergent evolution, and parallel evolution. What are divergent evolution? Same parent species and geographical change, they got separated, and geographical changes happen, evolution happen. Okay, then the convergent evolution means different species come to same geographical location, and they show similar traits, similar structure later. Okay, and parallel evolution, different species uh, they stay in different geographical places, but they still show similarities. These are parallel evolution. What is biogeography? The use of geography to describe the distribution of species. Alright, divergent evolution. After the supercontinent Pangea separated, similar species diverge due to different environments. Convergent evolution, unrelated species from different regions around the world converge or begin to look alike. They begin to look alike when they found in the same environment. when they found in same environment. Unrelated species from different regions, unrelated species from different regions around the world converge or begin to look alike, when found in similar environments. Okay, what is parallel evolution? Parallel evolution process where geographically separated groups of organisms evolve similar characteristics. They evolve similar characteristics. The marsupial of Australia, marsupials of Australia, and placi the placental mammals of other parts of the world are an example of parallel evolution. So, what are the example of parallel evolution? The marsupials, the marsupials of Australia and other placental mammals of other parts of the world are an example of parallel evolution. Alright, next what we got. Next what I got. What is natural selection? Okay. Natural selection. Natural selection described by Charles Darwin. Basic and fundamental mechanisms of theory of evolution. So, natural selection described by Charles Darwin, who is the father of evolution. Okay, basic and fundamental mechanism of the theory of evolution. So, theory of evolution is the fundamental mechanism. So, natural selection is the fundamental mechanism of the theory of evolution. The term was introduced on the book the, on the origin of species. The term was introduced in on the origin of species on the origin of species in 1859. Okay, in 1859, what is natural selection? So, what is natural selection? The theory states that those organisms best adapted to their environment have better chance of surviving and reproducing. Okay, those organisms best adapted to their environment have better chance of surviving and reproducing. Okay. So what is the theory states that those organisms best adapted to their environment, have better chance of surviving and reproducing. Okay, all right. Okay, then what is natural selection? The natural selection is a process by which organisms are better adapted. It is a process. Natural selection is a process by which organisms are better adapted to their environment and to survive and produce more offspring. They produce more offspring because they adapted to environment. They're more likely to survive more. Okay, and natural selection is a process that results the survival and reproductive success of individuals or groups best adjusted to their environment. Okay, what are the factors of natural selections? The process of natural selection relies on few important factors. There are three factors. One is the species variation. There must be variation within species. Variation within species is necessity. Variation within a species is necessary. Variation অবশ্যই লাগবে. Individuals must vary in appearance, ভেরিয়েশন লাগবে, ভেরিয়েশন ইন অ্যাপিয়ারেন্স অর বিহেভিয়ার লাগবে, ভেরিয়েবল টেস্ট মাস্ট বি ইনহেরিটেড বাই অফস্প্রিং। ওকে, ভেরিয়েশন তো থাকা লাগবেই, ভেরিয়েশন লাগবে অ্যাপিয়ারেন্সে বা বিহেভিয়ারে। দেন হচ্ছে variable traits must be inherited by offspring. Okay, so these are the factors. What are the factors? Variation within species is necessity. Then individual must vary in appearance or behavior. Then the variable traits must be inherited. The variable traits must be inherited by offspring. Then comes competition. Since food and resources are limited, there must be a competition. Food are limited. The offspring have to compete. They have to compete or fight to survive. Darwin called it struggle for existence. What is competition? Competition is, since food and resources are limited, they need to the offspring need to compete. They need to compete, and Darwin called it struggle for existence. And now we will see different types of natural selection. Alright, directional selection, stabilizing selection, disruptive selection. Okay, directional selection, stabilizing selection, disruptive selection. DSD, directional selection, stabilizing selection, disruptive. Directional means it will select one extreme. Stabilizing selection, it will not select any of the extremes. And disruptive means it will select both two extremes. Okay, so these are the diagrams for one extreme trait against other extreme trait. This is against other extreme trait. uh, Example is long wiggly tails look like a snake and scare the predators. The longer the tail, the more it looks like a snake. So natural selection select this. Okay, then moderate stabilizing selection. Here is moderate traits. Moderate trait both against it is against both extremes. Okay, short tail mess up the cat's balance. It mess up the cat's balance. Short tail, and long tail drag on the ground. So it chooses the medium tails. Duh. So this is stabilizing selection. Then here comes disruptive selection. Disruptive selection means both extremes. It is for both extremes, and it is against moderate traits. Like short tails help keep the predators from catching you on the ground, and long tails good for balance in the trees. Okay, that's why medium tails don't help. We will select both extremes. Alright, now we will see the description of each of these types. Directional selection, a type of natural selection which the phenotype of the species tends toward one extreme, occurs when natural selection favors one extreme of continuous variation. Occurs when natural selection favors one extreme of continuous variation. The favored extreme will become more common. The favored extreme, the favored jacket favored that will be more in common. Okay. Now example of directional selection. Okay, the frequency of the frequency of melanic form of moth is increased. Their darker color provides camouflage against studi tree had higher survival rate in habitats affected by air pollution. So air pollution যেখানে হয়েছে, there is melanic form of moth increased and it is selected and it is more in common. Okay, then we found stabilizing selection. Both individuals from both ends, removes individuals from both ends of a phenotypic distribution, maintaining same distribution mean. Alright, occurs when natural selection favors the intermediate sets of continuous variation. So continuous variation intermediate ট্রেডগুলোকে হচ্ছে ফেভার করবে, ইন্টারমিডিয়েট ট্রেডগুলো ফেভার করবে, আর কন্টিনিউয়াস কন্টিনিউয়াস ভেরিয়েশনের মধ্যে ওয়ান এক্সট্রিমকে সিলেক্ট করবে, and here occurs when natural selection favors intermediate states. The intermediate states become more common, then the intermediate traits become more in common. Example of stabilizing selection, very light colored or very stabilizing, very light colored or very dark oyster might be frequently preyed upon by shorebirds, preyed upon by birds, because they are more obvious on oyster growth, because they are more obvious, they are more seen in oyster birds. The intermediate colored become more in common. Then comes disruptive selection. What is disruptive selection? A type of natural selection that removes individuals from the center of phenotypic distribution. These are the phenotypic distribution chart. Phenotypic distribution removes individual from the middle, from the center of a phenotypic distribution, and causes the distribution to become biomodal. Occurs when this selection favors both the extremes of continuous variation. The two extreme variation will become more common. Alright. Example of disruptive selection: light color oyster are more common coloration. Allow organisms match the background. Okay, the background oyster blend in the shadows cast by the rocks. Okay, intermediate colored oyster must be heavily preyed upon by the crabs. Okay. Then polyploidy. Why is polyploidy? So polyploidy, what is ploidy? And ploidy level, number of sets of chromosome. An individual with two sets of chromosome is diploid. So 2n ploidy level is diploid. Okay. Basic chromosome number of chromosomes in one complete set. Number of chromosomes in one complete set. So basic chromosome are number of chromosome in one complete set. Number of chromosome in one complete set. X is basic chromosome, one genome basic chromosome number in one genome. N is number of chromosome in a gamete. N is number of chromosome in gamete. X is number of chromosome in genome, in one genome. Okay, and 2n is number of chromosome in the somatic cells, and 2n is number of chromosomes in somatic cells. Okay, so what is the concept of polyploidy? What is polyploidy? Polyploidy is the genetic condition which an organism has more than two complete sets of chromosomes. Okay, polyploidy is a genetic condition in which organisms has more than two complete sets of chromosomes. Alright. Polyploidy is simply an organism with more than usual two sets of chromosome. Polyploidy simply an organism with more than two sets of chromosome. Okay, It is especially common and important in plants. It is more common in plants, though it occurs in some animals and fungi. Uh, though it also occurs in animals and fungi, goldfish, salmon, and salamanders, frog, leeches, flatworm, rat. In which animals? Goldfish, salmon, salamanders, frog, leeches, flatworm, rat. Rat have 4N, that means 102 in Argentina. In Argentina, some tissues in mammals, liver cells. Okay, liver cells have more than two sets of chromosomes. Goldfish, salmon, salamander, frog, leeches, flatworm, rat, 4N equal to 102. Okay, now we'll study the classification. There are two types of polyploidy. One is autopolyploidy and then the other is allopolyploidy. Alright. Okay, what is autopolyploidy? Autopolyploidy, extra chromosome sets come from same species. Autopolyploidy means the extra sets of chromosome comes from same species, often caused by error in meiosis and mitosis. That chromosome fail to separate, fusion of unreduced gametes, sterile and fertile. Okay, fusion of unreduced gametes, fusion of unreduced gametes, fusion of unreduced gametes. Allopolyploidy chromosome sets come from different species after hybridization. Allopolyploidy chromosome sets come from different species after hybridization. They come from different species after hybridization. Common in plant evolution, hybrid plus chromosome doubling. Hybrid and chromosome doubling. List of allopolyploidy, that means different species. Autopolyploidy means same species. List of auto and allopolyploidy. Autopolyploid and in banana potato, BPCGS, BPCGS, banana potato, coffee, banana potato, coffee, banana potato, coffee, groundnut, banana potato, coffee, groundnut, sweet potato, banana potato, coffee, banana potato, coffee, sweet, banana potato, coffee, groundnut, sweet potato. These are um, autopolyploidy. Okay, 30 30 x 40, 18 potato and sweet potato. 90 coffee is 44 and groundnut is 40. Okay, Common names are bread, X is ploidal level actually. 3 into X, somatic cells, triploid, tetraploid, hexaploid. Bread wheat, durum wheat, bread wheat, hormone calibrated tobacco, cabbage, turnip rye, black cereals, Indian rye, sugar cane, treaty kale. What is the causes of water polyploidy? Water polyploidy can okay. Three causes: non-disjunction, hybridization, chemical induction. Non-disjunction, non-disjunction, non-disjunction. Three causes of water polyploidy: non-disjunction, hybridization, chemical induction. Non-disjunction, hybridization, chemical induction. Non-disjunction, hybridization, and chemical induction. What is non-disjunction? During cell division and reduced to an gametes and reduced to an gametes and hybridization followed by chromosome doubling. Hybridization followed by chromosome doubling and chemical induction. Colchicine in labs and or agriculture. Three causes of only non-dissection, hybridization, and chemical induction. Okay, non-dissection during cell division and reduced to an then hybridization, chromosome doubling, and chemical induction, colchicine, in labs or agriculture. How non-disjunction causes twin diploid meiotic error on unreduced gametes. 4n, twin becomes 4l mathematics. So here is an example: Triticum turgidum, shekel cereal, cereal আর হচ্ছে টুইটিকাম টুর্গিডাম হুইট অ্যান্ড রে, হুইট ক্রস রে, সেকেল cereal. Two distant species are hybridized. All right. So it is 28 and 14. 14 means 14 and 7. 14, 7, 21. ABR, AABB, and RR. Okay. Rai, Tuticum turgidum, and Sequel cereal. And this is F1 hybrid is highly sterile. F1 hybrid is highly sterile, chromosome doubling. Okay, and 20 থেকে 42 হয়েছে. Okay, AABBRR fertile. Now it was sterile. Now chromosome doubling হয়েছে, then it is fertile. Okay, তারপর hexaploid critical হয়েছে. আগে ছিল টুইটিকাম টুর্গিডাম, নাম হয়েছে কি hexaploid triticale. Fertile allopolyploid species. Experimental production of allopolyploid. Alright, experimental production of allopolyploid. Acha, this is a example of allopolyploid, not autopolyploid. Okay, don't get the wrong idea. Okay, it is example of allopolyploid. that is different species, right? It's come from different species. Methods of auto polyploid induction কি কি ভাবে auto polyploid হইতে পারে methods. There are some 5 methods: spontaneous, common, causes and chemical. S তিনটা C, then P physical agents: spontaneous, common in vitro cultures, causes and treatment, chemical agent and physical agent. Chemical agent, physical agent, common in vitro culture, causes and treatment. All right. Okay, what is spontaneous? Spontaneous. Occasionally in somatic tissue, occasionally in somatic tissue, occasionally in somatic tissue, and unreduced gametes. Occasionally in somatic tissue, occasionally in somatic tissue, and unreduced gametes common in vitro culture. Spontaneously, occasionally in somatic tissue and unreduced in somatic tissue and unreduced gametes, common in vitro culture, then causes and treatment. Then causing treatment 0.0001 to 0.2%. Chemical agent nitrous oxide, um, chloral hydrate 1% IAA. And physical agent cold extreme heat or cold treatment, X-ray radiation and centrifugation, X-ray radiation and centrifugation. Okay, then comes morphological features of polyploids. Morphological features of polyploids. So what are the morphological features? Gigantic lips হইতে পারে, gigantism, cell size increased, thicker plant parts, thicker plant parts, slower growth rate, changes in leaf morphology, changes in reproductive features, morphological, increase vigor and hardiness. And gigantism, cell size increase, slow, thicker plant bursts, changes in leaf morphology, reproductive system, vigor and hardiness, increased vigor and hardiness. Then application in of polyploidy, application in agriculture, horticulture, plant breeding, industrial uses, forestry research and genetics. Okay, 6. What is agriculture, horticulture, plant breeding? Agriculture, horticulture, and plant breeding. Alright. Agriculture high yield due to larger seeds, grains, and fruits. Polyploid wheat has larger grains. Improved quality polyploid sugarcane has higher sugar content. Higher yield হবে, increased quality হবে. Polyploid sugar cane has higher sugar content. Seedless fruit via triploidy. Example banana, watermelon, grapes, banana, watermelon. Higher yield হবে, increased quality হবে, আর কি হবে, seedless fruit হবে. Okay, then horticulture, larger and more attractive flowers. Increased ornamental value, increased larger attractive flower, increased ornamental values, increased ornamental value due to thicker leaves and brighter color due to thicker leaves and brighter color. Thicker leaves and brighter color. La 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 la. Doki doki. Then plant breeding, creation of new species, speciation through alla polyploidy. An ensemble is reticle, wind and rain, restoring of fertility. Okay, sterile কি হয়েছে? Sterile hybrids by chromosome, sterile hybrids by chromosome doubling. Combining desirable traits. Okay, plant and desirable trait and the now industrial research and forensic. These are the three. The industrial uses medicinal plant, higher alkaloid and secondary metabolite content. আত্রপা ধাতুরা. Okay, polyploid grasses, polyfodder crops on polyploid grasses provide more biomass forestry. I said forestry, it's not forestry, it is forestry. Polyploid trees often show faster growth and increased wood yield. Okay. Forestry polyploid trees are often more faster in growth, increased wood yield. উডের কোয়ালিটি, উড ইল্ডের জন্য হচ্ছে পারফেকশন ট্রিজ অফেন show faster growth. Okay, research in genetics is to study gene and doses effect. Is to study genes and doses effect. Is to study genes and doses effect. Is to study genes and doses effect. Evolution of crop plants through polypody. Polypody plays a major role in the evolution and origin of many crop plants, especially in angiospermia, especially in angiosperms. It has major role in evolution. It leads to new species formation, increased variability, and better adaptability. Okay, wheat, hexaploid, wheat, cotton, tobacco, brassica, wheat, cotton, tobacco, wheat, cotton, tobacco, brassica, wheat, cotton, tobacco, brassica, wheat, cotton, tobacco, brassica, wheat, cotton, tobacco, brassica, triticale. হুইট হচ্ছে হেক্সাপ্লয়েড, কটন হচ্ছে অ্যালো টেট্রাপ্লয়েড, অ্যালোপ্লয়েড, ব্রাসিকা পলিপ্লয়েড সিরিজ, ট্রিটিক্যাল হচ্ছে আর্টিফিশিয়াল অ্যালোপ্লয়েড.